In this profound exploration, we embark on a quest to unravel the secrets of happiness and success through 40 Stoic lessons for a happy and successful life. Join us as we delve deep into the heart of Stoicism, where each lesson is a beacon guiding us towards a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like this video to join our community of Stoic warriors on the path to enlightenment. Let's start the video. 1. Focus on what you can control. There are certain components of the vast fabric of reality that are under our control, while there are other aspects that are beyond our capacity to influence. Stoicism teaches us the invaluable lesson that we ought to direct our efforts on the former and give up on making pointless attempts to gain control over the later. Stoicism is a kind of philosophy that has been passed down to us. By acknowledging and accepting this fundamental reality, we are able to unlock the door to a realm that is characterized by a great deal of peace and empowerment. Imagine a ship that is sailing through waters that are fraught with turbulence. On the other hand, the astute captain does not complain about the storm or make futile attempts to alter the course that it is following. Instead, attention is concentrated on the ship itself, which includes ensuring that the sails are positioned in the correct manner, that the hull is reinforced, and that the crew is prepared to set sail. Within the framework of the trip that is our life, we are confronted with the task of directing the vessel that is our existence through the unpredictability of the currents of circumstance. This obligation is a challenge that we must tackle. It is important for us to be able to distinguish between the winds that we have the ability to control and those that we are forced to endure, as this Stoic concept suggests. When we aim our efforts toward the areas of our life that are within our sphere of influence, such as our thoughts, actions, and responses, we restore the agency that we formerly had over our lives. Because of the realization that actual mastery does not consist of managing the events that occur in the outer world, but rather in mastering how we react to those circumstances, we have liberated ourselves from the chains of anxiety and aggravation. This realization has allowed us to free ourselves from the chains of worry and irritation. 2. Practice acceptance. The threads that are woven into the fabric that is life are the elements of unpredictability and adaptation. It is possible to describe the art of acceptance as a profound surrender to the ebb and flow of existence without protest or complaint. Stoicism is a philosophy that advocates for the art of acceptance. Stoicism defines an environment that is always shifting, and this is a response to that environment. Consider the possibility that there is a river that runs without interruption and cuts its way through the terrain that is located above it. We must be able to embrace the unfolding of our lives with grace and tranquility, just as the river is able to accept the twists and bends that are forced by the terrain. In the same way, the river is able to accept the course of its existence. In contrast to acceptance, which is the mother of tranquility, resistance is a breeding ground for suffering only. It is important to note that acceptance is not the same as indifference or resignation. Rather, acceptance is a courageous admittance of the reality of the situation. This realization is the knowledge that there are some events that are beyond our control, and that to fight them is to wage war against the elements of nature that cannot be changed. This realization is what it means to have this realization. It is possible to cultivate virtues such as resilience and fortitude by coming to terms with the underlying unpredictability that is always present in life. Additionally, acceptance makes it possible to create a great feeling of gratitude for the richness of experiences that there are in one's life. In the same way that a traveler is awed by the different vistas they find on their travels, we learn to embrace the highs and lows of life as natural and necessary components of the human experience. 3. Develop virtue. Within the Stoic tradition, virtue is seen as the cornerstone of a life that is lived to the utmost extent possible. To engage in the cultivation of virtue is to engage in the development of moral perfection, which entails the cultivation of characteristics such as wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice inside oneself during the process of cultivating virtue. Just for a moment, picture a sculptor carefully working on a block of marble, chiseling away at it in order to convert it into a masterwork that is both beautiful and harmonious. In a similar spirit, Stoicism urges us to become artisans of our own character by perfecting our virtues through the application of constant practice and self-awareness. Stoicism is known for its emphasis on the importance of self-awareness. Even in the middle of the shadows of uncertainty, wisdom is the guiding light that throws light on the path that leads to the truth. This is the case for us. This not only enables us to distinguish between right and evil, but it also enables us to navigate the complexities of life with more clarity and comprehension. As a result of our courageous actions, we get the self-assurance to confront our worries and challenges with the tenacity and determination necessary to overcome them. One of the things that propels us on in the pursuit of our ideas, even when we are faced with obstacles, is the unconquerable spirit that we seek to acquire. Through the practice of temperance, which guarantees that our actions are directed by reason rather than impulse, we are able to exercise control over our desires. The ability to exercise self-control, the ability to resist temptation, and the will to adhere to what is right and just are all crucial components. In the course of our interactions with other individuals, justice instills in us a sense of fairness and equality in our connections with other individuals. Our interactions with the world are to be carried out in a manner that is consistent with the principles of morality and honesty, and we are expected to treat all beings with the dignity and respect that they are due. 4. Live in accordance with nature. Because of the many patterns and rhythms that it possesses, nature serves as both a guide and a model for living a life that is in harmony with the environment in which you find yourself. According to the Stoic philosophy, living in harmony with nature implies putting our actions and attitudes into accordance with the fundamental rules that govern the cosmos. This is said to be the definition of living in harmony with nature. Take, for instance, the oak tree, which is able to adapt to the changing of the seasons and is securely rooted in its location. We are compelled to embrace our inherent nature and achieve our own potential in a manner that is harmonious with the universe, just as the tree did. This is a lesson that we may learn from the tree. In order to achieve this goal, it is necessary to cultivate virtues like as wisdom, bravery, temperance, and justice, which are traits that resonate with the natural order of things. In order to live in peace with the natural world, it is necessary to recognize and embrace the fleeting nature of each and every instant of existence. Just as our lives proceed through cycles of development, decay, and regeneration, so do the seasons. In the same manner as the seasons come and go, so do our lives. We are able to liberate ourselves from the shackles of attachment and find solace in the ever-changing dance that is life when we come to terms with the fact that everything is inherently transient. The adoption of a holistic perspective that extends beyond a narrow emphasis on one's own self-interest is also necessary in order to live in harmony with nature. Because we are conscious of the fact that we are interconnected with all living things, we make it a point to behave with compassion, empathy, and reverence for the web of life. 5. Adopt the view from above. When we are continually involved in the hustle and bustle of our regular lives, it is easy to become enmeshed in the particulars of our problems and difficulties. This may be a very difficult situation to navigate. The Stoic practice of adopting the view from above, which is a shift of perspective that shows the wonderful fabric of reality and our place within it, provides this powerful remedy. This view from above brings about a change in perspective. Imagine that you have scaled the highest point of a mountain, where the vista that stretches out before you is everlasting and displays the intricate interaction that exists between the top of the mountain, the ocean, and the sky. When viewed from this elevated vantage point, the seemingly trivial issues that arise in day-to-day life appear to be insignificant in comparison to the vastness of the cosmos. The vision from above urges us to adopt a more wide and cosmic point of view, which is comparable to the way that it encourages us to move beyond the boundaries of our own particular perspective. At this elevated vantage point, the hardships and obstacles that life provides appear to be fleeting moments in the larger, more expanded picture of eternity. This is because the image of eternity is far longer and more expansive. When we take the viewpoint of looking down from above, we are able to get a higher sense of clarity, perspective, and calm in our lives. In the face of the insignificance of the cosmos, petty frustrations disappear, and in their place emerges a profound appreciation for the marvelous beauty and interconnectedness of everything. Furthermore, because it acts as a reminder of our position within the amazing fabric of creation, this activity instills a sense of humility and amazement inside us. This sense of wonder and humility is a valuable asset. Despite the fact that we are little in relation to the immensity of the universe, we are endowed with the power to transcend transcendence, wisdom, and compassion. This is despite the fact that we are minuscule. 6. Embrace impermanence. Life is built on the foundation of impermanence, which is the fundamental fact that underpins it. The knowledge that everything, regardless of whether it is joyous or terrible, is transient and fleeting is expressed through this expression. According to the Stoic tradition, the acceptance of impermanence is not an act of surrender, but rather a profound encouragement to do so. This is because the Stoic tradition considers the acceptance of impermanence as a wonderful invitation to enjoy each moment with gratitude and present. For a brief period, try to visualize yourself standing on the beach and watching the waves as they rise and fall in a predictable pattern. Over the course of its journey from the depths of the ocean to the surface, each wave is a fleeting marvel of nature that finally makes its way back to the location from whence it began. In a similar vein, the experiences that one has during their life are similar to an ebb and flow, with each moment being a treasured jewel in the fabric of existence. Accepting impermanence has a number of advantages, one of which is that it liberates us from the shackles of attachment and aversion, which in turn enables us to welcome the full spectrum of human experience with open arms. This realization is the awareness that happiness and sadness, pleasure and pain, are but transient guests at the vast feast that is life. This is what it means to have this realization. 7. Practice gratitude. The act of expressing thankfulness is a transformative discipline that shifts our viewpoint from one of deficiency to one of plenty, and from one of dissatisfaction to one of joy. Gratitude is not only a fleeting emotion in the Stoic tradition. Rather, it is an essential perspective on life that is characterized by an awareness of the countless advantages that contribute to the enhancement of our existence. Just for a moment, try to picture yourself being able to wake up each morning with a heart that is overflowing with gratitude, like a wellspring that is bubbling with waters that are life-giving. Every moment is imbued with a feeling of substance and meaning as a result of this practice, which is both straightforward and profound. As a result, even the most mundane aspects of life are transformed into sources of joy and astonishment. In addition, persons who suffer from mental diseases such as jealousy and anger can benefit much from practicing gratitude because it is a potent remedy for these conditions. We are able to shift our attention from what we do not have to what we do have when we build an attitude of thankfulness. This, in turn, enables us to create a sense of contentment and inner peace inside ourselves. 8. Live with intention. There is a parallel can be drawn between having a certain destination in mind and piloting a ship with the intention of arriving at that particular area. There are a number of components that make up this process, including the setting of objectives, the verification that behaviors are in accordance with values, and the purposeful and intentional direction of efforts toward meaningful endeavors. In accordance with the Stoic tradition, the foundation of a life that is well lived is the practice of living consciously. Making a conscious decision to navigate the seas of existence with purpose and clarity throughout one's lifetime is what we mean when we talk about intentional living. Put yourself in the shoes of a skilled navigator who is planning a journey over waters that have never been explored before. With the final aim of arriving at the desired destination, acting as a compass, each decision is arrived at after thorough consideration and thoughtfulness has been put into it. In a similar vein, living with intention entails setting sail in the direction of a purpose that has been chosen with the objective of navigating the currents of life with knowledge and resolve. In addition, living a thoughtful life enables us to resist the desire to be distracted and to experience pleasure in a short amount of time. In order to develop a sense of purpose that imbues each moment with significance and a sense of direction, we must first determine our priorities and then make a commitment to work toward achieving goals that are important to us. 9. Maintain equanimity. Equanimity is a state of being that is characterized by inner calm and unwavering stability, which is independent of the fluctuations that occur in the external environment. The calm and composure that endures the ups and downs of life is what we mean when we talk about equanimity. According to the Stoic philosophy, equanimity is a quality that is thought to be a feature of knowledge and endurance. If one chooses to acquire this quality, diligent labor and unwavering commitment are the means by which it might be developed. Take into consideration a majestic oak tree that is standing tall in the midst of a storm, with its branches gracefully swaying in the wind, yet remaining securely anchored to the ground throughout the entire ordeal. Similarly, equanimity enables us to weather the storms of life with grace and composure, allowing us to stay unruffled by the upheaval that is taking place in our immediate environment. In addition, equanimity enables us to accept the full spectrum of human experience without allowing ourselves to be influenced by the most extreme and the least extreme aspects of that experience. When we are met with problems, it is the steady hand that leads us through them, and the steadfast determination that propels us onward in the search of our objectives. 10. Value inner peace. The quest of inner peace is analogous to discovering an oasis in the midst of the chaotic desert that is life. It is a haven of tranquility that is located at the core of our being. According to the Stoic tradition, the development of inner peace is not only a luxury, but rather a sacred obligation that comes with the territory. To put this another way, it is a dedication to fostering the wellspring of peace that sustains us in the midst of the turbulence that is the existence of humans. Imagine there is a tranquil pond that is hidden away in the middle of a lovely forest, and the surface of the pond remains undisturbed by the storms that are raging above it. To a similar extent, having inner peace enables us to remain unruffled by the stormy nature of life, so providing a refuge of calm in the middle of the storms that we are confronted with to deal with. Additionally, by placing an emphasis on inner peace, we are able to develop a sense of equanimity that is independent of the fleeting oscillations that are brought about by events that occur in the outside world. Due to the fact that it serves as the anchor that enables us to maintain our stability in the midst of the storms that life brings, we are able to navigate the stormy seas with grace and elegance. 11. Practice self-renunciation. Let us imagine that there is a lake that is completely calm, and the surface of the lake is not affected by the waves of desire. Self-renunciation is achieved by the practice of letting go of attachments that disrupt our inner peace. This is the essence of self-renunciation. The core of self-renunciation may be contained in this. In our pursuit of happiness, we frequently chase fleeting goals, such as wealth, celebrity, and success, in an effort to achieve our ultimate objective of achieving contentment. Stoic philosophy, on the other hand, places a greater emphasis on the cultivation of inner tranquility for the purpose of achieving true contentment, as opposed to the pursuit of pleasures that originate from the external world. When we participate in self-renunciation, we are urged to let go of the unyielding desire to acquire worldly possessions and to get praise from the outer world. As a result, it inspires us to detach from the unsatisfying impulses that keep us stuck in a never-ending cycle of disappointment. We are able to discover freedom when we let go of our connection to outcomes and possessions. This freedom allows us to live our lives in a genuine manner, guided by our own principles rather than by the influences that come from the outside world. As we advance, we come to the realization that the source of happiness is not the accumulation of worldly belongings, but rather the depth of our inner existence. This comprehension comes about as we progress. The practice of self-renunciation does not require denying oneself joy or plenty. Rather, it involves conquering the hold that desire has on us and finding satisfaction in the simplest of things. Self-renunciation is a discipline that cannot be denied. It is about coming to terms with the notion that true wealth is not found in the things that we possess, but rather in who we are as individuals. We throw open the door to a more profound sense of tranquility and happiness inside ourselves when we let go of our ties to things that previously held us tight. It is only when we are liberated from the burden of anticipation and want that we are able to find joy in the moment that we are now experiencing. 12. Exercise self-discipline. Make use of self-control to bring your behaviors into accordance with reason and morality, and reject inclinations that have the potential to lead you in the wrong direction. This is what we mean when we talk about practicing self-discipline. Imagine a sculptor laboring with tremendous skill and passion to chisel away at a block of marble, such that it looks like a block of marble. The practice of molding our lives in accordance with the principles that are most significant to us is at the heart of self-discipline, which is the practice of having self-control. It is the inner power that enables us to resist temptation and remain committed to our beliefs, even when we are confronted with adversity, and this is what we mean when we talk about self-discipline. Controlling our impulses is what gives us the power to make decisions that are in line with reason and virtue. It is the ability to regulate our impulses. It is a virtue that is both unusual and useful in today's world, which is filled with possibilities for instant gratification and distractions. Self-discipline is a virtue that is both uncommon and valuable. By acting in this manner, we are able to delay gratification and work toward the accomplishment of long-term goals with patience and perseverance. Through the practice of self-discipline, we are able to cultivate resiliency and fortitude, which in turn enables us to become the masters of our own destiny. As an alternative to giving in to the whims of fleeting desires, we have started to prepare a path that is guided by knowledge and integrity. For the purpose of practicing self-discipline, it is not necessary to make an effort to repress our impulses or to deprive ourselves of pleasure. The fact that we focus our efforts on things that will improve and increase the quality of our lives is of more significance than anything else. The two primary objectives of this endeavor are to achieve freedom through self-mastery and to achieve fulfillment via the attainment of alignment between our actions and our values. 13. Face fears courageously. The mental image of a climber staring up at a towering peak while experiencing concern but staying unmoved in their goal of the summit is a popular type of mental image. This is a perfect illustration of the essence of conquering worries with courage, which is a discipline that involves facing challenges with bravery and resiliency from the beginning. Fear is an emotion that is innate to the human experience, and it frequently functions as a barrier that hinders us from realizing our full potential. The flip side of fear, on the other hand, may be where actual growth might be discovered. We are able to uncover previously hidden sources of power and bravery inside ourselves when we directly face our concerns. This is because we are able to overcome our fears. That which makes bravery is not the absence of fear. Rather, it is the resolution to act in spite of dread that is the essence of courage. Despite the fact that we are confronted with uncertainty and doubt that threatens to destroy us, it is the fire that burns inside us that encourages us to continue. By confronting our fears with bravery, we are able to widen our perspectives and discover new levels of resilience in ourselves and in others. By going through challenging situations, we come to the realization that we are capable of a great deal more than we ever imagined, and that these challenges are not a hindrance to our growth, but rather a chance for us to make progress. The development of confidence, which in turn helps us to face future challenges with a greater feeling of resolve and determination, is a direct result of the development of bravery. Because of this trip, we emerge from each obstacle more powerful, more intelligent, and more resilient than we were before we started out on this adventure. 14. Seek wisdom. Imagine someone who is continuously searching for the truth and who is exploring the vast expanse of knowledge with an insatiable hunger for learning. This person never stops searching for the truth. The search of knowledge is a journey of never-ending education and enlightenment, and here is an example of the essence of the pursuit. The capacity to distinguish between truth and falsehood, as well as the ability to navigate the complexities of life with clarity and insight, are all essential components of wisdom. Knowledge alone is not sufficient to define wisdom. It is the light that illuminates the path that provides us with a path that leads to virtuous behavior and total fulfillment. It is the light that throws light on the road forward. The quest of wisdom is a continual undertaking that strives to improve our understanding of both ourselves and the world that surrounds us. This is despite the fact that we live in a world that is abundant with knowledge. In order to be successful in this endeavor, it is essential for us to possess humility, curiosity, and an open mind. This is because we are going to be investigating many points of view and challenging our past preconceptions. We are able to extend our perspectives and create a more comprehensive grasp of life when we engage in the search of understanding. By relying on the concepts of philosophers, academics, and sages who have been around for a long time, we are able to acquire knowledge via the experiences of those who have gone before us. We get the capacity to confront the problems of life with grace and fortitude when we have wisdom, which enables us to make judgments based on factual knowledge and to meet such obstacles with confidence. We are able to see past the surface of things, to see the interconnectedness of all living things, and as a consequence of this, we are able to act with compassion and integrity. 15. Be mindful of death. Imagine that you are standing on the edge of eternity and peering into the depths of your own mortality. This is the situation you are in. It is a strategy that entails embracing the transience of life in order to live one's life to the fullest. Being aware of death is a technique that requires accepting death. Through this thought, the essence of dying with mindfulness is encapsulated. As a great equalizer, mortality acts as a continual reminder that our time here on earth is finite. Mortality serves as a forceful equalizer. We get an awareness of the significance of each moment and the importance of living our lives with a feeling of purpose and gratitude as we go through the process of confronting our own mortality. Having a conscious awareness of death does not imply that one should allow themselves to be gripped with fear or dwell on ideas that are morbid. It is a profound realization of the fleeting aspect of life, a rallying call to make the most of the time we have here on earth. In its position, it is a rallying cry. When we finally accept the truth that we are mortal, we are able to shift our perspective and stop taking life for granted. One must be amazed by the fact that each and every morning is a miracle, that each and every embrace is a gift, and that each and every experience is an opportunity for growth and connection. Because we are aware that we will pass away at some point in the future, we are inspired to live our lives in a manner that is authentic, to pursue the things that we are passionate about, and to cherish our relationships with a greater degree of depth and intensity. This reality brings to our notice the fact that our time is limited, and that we must make the most of the valuable gift of life. We must do this in order to maximize our potential. 16. Cultivate resilience. Imagine an enormous oak tree that is able to resist a violent storm by gradually bending but never breaking. This tree is able to have this ability. This is a perfect example of the very essence of resilience, which is a quality that helps us to recover from the challenges that we face in life and perform better than we did in the past. Being resilient does not imply avoiding obstacles. Rather, it involves facing them head-on and developing the ability to emerge triumphant from the experience. To put it another way, it is the ability to develop as a result of experiencing hardship, to adapt to new conditions, and to develop the ability to learn from mistakes. In the course of our journey through life, we will invariably be confronted with obstacles that will put our willpower to the test and disturb the very foundations of our being. On the other hand, it is precisely via these tests that we are able to gain an understanding of the amount of our resilience, which may be defined as the inner fortitude that enables us to persevere in the face of opposition. We are not born with the capacity to be resilient. Rather, it is a talent that can be cultivated through regular exercise and a relentless determination to achieve, rather than being innately present in our bodies. In spite of the challenges that we face, it is essential for us to regard failure as an opportunity for personal growth, to pick ourselves up and keep moving forward in spite of the impediments that we come across. When we focus on increasing our resilience, we become like the oak tree. We become solidly grounded in the earth and are able to weather the most powerful storms. We develop the capacity to bend with the winds of change rather than being broken by them, and we learn to emerge from adversity stronger and more resilient than we were before we encountered it. 17. Practice moderation. Imagine an enormous oak tree that is able to resist a violent storm by gradually bending, but never breaking. This tree is able to have this ability. This is a perfect example of the very essence of resilience, which is a quality that helps us to recover from the challenges that we face in life and perform better than we did in the past. Being resilient does not imply avoiding obstacles. Rather, it involves facing them head-on and developing the ability to emerge triumphant from the experience. To put it another way, it is the ability to develop as a result of experiencing hardship, to adapt to new conditions, and to develop the ability to learn from mistakes. In the course of our journey through life, we will invariably be confronted with obstacles that will put our willpower to the test and disturb the very foundations of our being. On the other hand, it is precisely via these tests that we are able to gain an understanding of the amount of our resilience, which may be defined as the inner fortitude that enables us to persevere in the face of opposition. We are not born with the capacity to be resilient. Rather, it is a talent that can be cultivated through regular exercise and a relentless determination to achieve, rather than being innately present in our bodies. In spite of the challenges that we face, it is essential for us to regard failure as an opportunity for personal growth, to pick ourselves up and keep moving forward in spite of the impediments that we come across. When we focus on increasing our resilience, we become like the oak tree. We become solidly grounded in the earth and are able to weather the most powerful storms. We develop the capacity to bend with the winds of change rather than being broken by them. And we learn to emerge from adversity stronger and more resilient than we were before we encountered it. 18. Focus on the present moment. Imagine a person walking a tightrope, delicately balancing on a very thin line that is located between two extreme possibilities. Imagine that individual for a moment. This is a perfect illustration of the concept of practicing moderation, which is a philosophy that encourages us to achieve balance in every aspect of our life. The art of temperance is the practice of moderation, which teaches us to avoid extremes and to embrace a balanced approach to living. Moderation is the practice of temperance. This path is not one that is characterized by either excess or deprivation. Rather, it is the middle ground that exists between the extremes of indulgence and asceticism. Moderation is a work that requires purposeful effort and self-discipline in order to be successful in a world that is overflowing with affluence and temptation. Self-discipline is necessary in order to be successful in this world. The capacity to exert self-control and the skill to recognize when it is appropriate to say enough are both essential components in the pursuit of pleasure or achievement. When we participate in the practice of moderation for ourselves, we are able to cultivate a feeling of inner harmony and balance. The capacity to pay attention to our bodies and minds, recognizing and honoring their needs without giving in to desires or appetites that lead to excess, is something that we develop over time. Not only does moderation involve our bodily cravings, but it also encompasses other aspects of our life, such as our jobs, our relationships, and the activities that we find pleasurable in our spare time. We are motivated to give precedence to the things that are truly essential to us, and to properly distribute both our time and our resources as a result of this inspiration. 19. Choose virtue over pleasure. Take a minute to picture yourself standing on the shore of a tranquil lake, totally immersed in the grandeur of the moment you are currently experiencing in your life. This is the essence of the practice of focusing on the present, which is a method that entails accepting the here and now with gratitude and mindfulness, because it is the particular moment that is now being experienced. Everything that happens in the present moment, including the unfolding of life, the appearance of opportunities, and the discovery of joy, takes place presently. On the other hand, we usually find ourselves dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, which hinders us from taking advantage of the numerous chances that are accessible in the here and now. In order to concentrate on the here and now, it is necessary to let go of the regrets and resentments that are associated with the past, as well as the anxieties and uncertainties that involve the future. When one does this, they are entirely immersing themselves in the experience of the here and now, taking in all of the sights, sounds, and sensations that are present in the moment. When we practice bringing our attention to the here and now, we develop a heightened awareness of the wondrous and stunning things that are all around us. At the same time as we take pleasure in the most basic of pleasures and express gratitude for the gift of life, we also take pleasure in each moment as it comes to us. Through the growth of awareness of our thoughts and feelings, which is assisted by the practice of mindfulness, we are able to react to the obstacles that life provides with more clarity and calm. We have the ability to free ourselves from the shackles of pondering and worrying, and as a result, we are able to live our lives with a better feeling of peace and contentment. 20. Be kind and compassionate. It is important to take into mind a fork in the road, where one path leads to immediate gratification and the other one leads to fulfillment over a longer period of time. This is an illustration of the concept of choosing virtue above pleasure, which is a discipline that entails devoting the utmost importance to moral integrity and ethical ideals in the way that we conduct ourselves. The pursuit of pleasure may bring a short sensation of fulfillment. Nevertheless, the genuine fulfillment that we seek comes from living in line with our highest ideals and the goals that we have set for ourselves. As opposed to making judgments based on what provides quick gratification, choosing virtue is making decisions based on what is right and just. When it comes to selecting virtue, this is the essence. In a culture that usually extols the qualities of instant gratification and pleasure, choosing virtue requires a certain level of self-awareness as well as discipline. Adhering to this concept entails being able to resist the temptation of short-term pleasure and instead give precedence to actions that contribute to our long-term well-being and the broader good. This is what it means to adhere to this principle. The decision to favor virtue above pleasure is a step that can be taken to aid the building of inner strength and resilience. Due to the fact that we have established a foundation of integrity that enables us to persevere through the challenges that life presents to us, we are able to face adversity with dignity and grace. In spite of the fact that the path of virtue may not always be easy to navigate, it is possible to get a better sense of fulfillment and purpose by pursuing the path of virtue. If we put ethical values a higher priority than fleeting pleasures, we may be able to align ourselves with a bigger truth and contribute to a world that is more equal and compassionate because of our actions. 21. Live with integrity. Imagine a society in which every link is interwoven with love and compassion, where empathy is the most strong feeling, and where understanding is the most abundant part of existence. This society would be exactly what you would want to live in. The essence of being kind and compassionate is the practice of extending warmth and kindness to all beings, and this illustrates the essence of being kind and compassionate overall. It is possible that a small amount of compassion and kindness might improve not only our own lives, but also the lives of those who are in our immediate vicinity. Kindness and compassion are the keys to unlocking the heart's full potential. Their presence helps to bridge the gap that lies between us, so fostering a sense of connectedness and harmony in the connections that we have. In a world that is usually plagued by conflict and unrest, those who possess qualities such as kindness and compassion reflect a light of hope and healing on the planet. The value of treating other people with respect and decency regardless of the circumstances is brought home to us by these things, which serve as a reminder of our shared humanity. we need to go outside of ourselves and empathize with the experiences of other people in order to be kind and compassionate. This requires us to take a walk outside of ourselves. A few examples of what it means to be compassionate include lending a helping hand to those who are in need, offering words of encouragement to those who are encountering difficulties, and listening with an open heart to those who are experiencing grief. Kindness and compassion are traits that, when developed, have the ability to produce a ripple effect that extends far beyond the person. This impact may be caused by their cultivation. It is the acts of kindness that we perform that inspire others to follow in our footsteps, so causing a domino effect of generosity and optimism to spread throughout the country and the world. 22. Embrace change. Consider a sturdy oak tree that is firmly planted in the ground and has limbs that beautifully and unflinchingly spread upwards into the skies. These are the characteristics that should be taken into consideration. This is a perfect illustration of the essence of living with integrity, which is the discipline of remaining true to ourselves and our beliefs, even when we are presented with challenges along the road. Integrity is the cornerstone of character because it teaches us to conduct ourselves in a manner that is honest, sincere, and authentic in every aspect of our life. Character is the basis of integrity. When our thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with one another, we are able to experience a sense of inner harmony and wholeness. This is one of the reasons why we are able to feel this way. Integrity shines like a beacon of light in a world where moral ambiguity is usually the norm, lighting the path that leads to righteousness and virtue. In this society, integrity shines like a standard. However, the rewards of maintaining one's commitment in the face of temptation and adversity are impossible to emphasize, despite the fact that doing so requires a tremendous degree of fortitude and conviction on the part of the individual. In the process of living our lives with integrity, we earn the trust and respect of others. This, in turn, enables us to cultivate relationships that are healthy and meaningful because they are built on honesty and transparency. In the process of being excellent examples of integrity, we inspire others to uphold the values and principles that are significant to them. There are times when it is difficult to be a person who lives their life with integrity, and along the route, we may come across challenges and temptations. On the other hand, it is precisely through these challenges that our personalities are molded, and it is through these experiences that our integrity is strengthened. 23. Develop self-awareness. Imagine a river that is flowing through the countryside in a steady stream, carving its way across the scenery and smoothly embracing every curve and bend. This river makes its way across the countryside. A good attitude toward change is exemplified by this, which is the discipline of moving with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. This is the basis of having a positive attitude about change. Change is an ever-present force that continually shapes our lives and the world around us. There is no way to avoid change. It is an integral part of our existence. However, despite the fact that it has the ability to be unsettling and unpleasant, it also serves as a catalyst for personal growth and transformation. When we are prepared to accept change, we create space in our life for chances and experiences that are foreign to us. We have faith in the journey and the values that it will instill in us, and as a result, we are willing to let go of the things that are comfortable to us and open ourselves up to the unexpected. It is vital to have the courage and flexibility to welcome change in order to successfully navigate the unpredictability of the changes that occur during one's life. In order to go on with this process, it is vital to, among other things, let go of attachments to the past and embrace the opportunities that lie ahead. It is suggested that we make adjustments and make development as a result of change, that we let go of obsolete habits and notions that are no longer advantageous to us, and that we accept new ways of being. This is the way by which we learn about our resilience and strength, and it is through the experience of adversity that we emerge revitalized and renewed. Change is the means by which we learn about our strength and resilience. 23. Develop self-awareness. take into consideration the notion that a mirror reflects not just your outward appearance, but perhaps the inner workings of your mind and heart as well. Self-awareness is a discipline that entails becoming more introspective in order to explore our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This is the heart of the process of obtaining self-awareness, which is a discipline. Developing one's own sense of self-awareness is an essential part of the process of human development and transformation. Self-knowledge is the capacity to analyze oneself in an objective manner, free from judgment or bias, and to obtain insight into one's own patterns, habits, and reasons. This is what we mean when we talk about self-knowledge. It is easy to lose touch with who we are and to go through the motions without truly knowing the reasons behind our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors when we are caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. This is because it is easy to become distracted by the activities that we are engaged in. The growth of self-awareness, on the other hand, enables us to cast light on the more opaque portions of our mind, so exposing levels of knowledge and insight that were before veiled. The power to make intentional judgments and to bring our behaviors into conformity with our principles and aims is afforded to us when we possess a robust sense of self-awareness. As a result of this, we are able to recognize both our capabilities and our limitations, and we are also able to take measures that will contribute to our own personal growth and advancement. The process of increasing one's self-awareness is one that never comes to an end and requires patience, curiosity, and reflection on the side of the individual. This process has a number of components, including tuning into our thoughts and feelings, analyzing the underlying concepts and attitudes that shape our perspective of the world, and embracing and loving our true selves with compassion and acceptance. 24. Practice humility. Take into consideration a sky that is so vast that even the highest mountains appear to be relatively little in comparison to one another. This represents the essence of practicing humility, which is the discipline of understanding our place in the grand scheme of things and adopting a mentality that is open and receptive to new experiences and viewpoints. This is the essence of humility. Rather than decreasing one's own value or underestimating one's own worth, the idea of humility entails accepting the limitations that are inherent to oneself and being prepared to learn from others. Humility is not the same thing as vanity. One of its primary functions is to serve as the foundation for both intellect and development, in addition to fostering an environment that values humility and inquiry. Humility helps to remind us that we are a part of something that is more significant than ourselves, which is especially important when we live in a world that constantly recognizes and celebrates the achievements and talents of individuals. Furthermore, it motivates us to approach life with a sense of humility and surprise, as well as to recognize the flaws that are inherent in each and every one of us. In order for us to be able to exercise humility, it is vital for us to set aside our egos and be ready to accept when we do not hold all of the solutions. Being receptive to novel concepts and points of view, as well as being open to hearing feedback and criticism that is constructive, are all components of having this attitude. The practice of humility is a discipline that allows us to create space for our own personal growth and progress. In the process of coming to terms with the fact that we are all on a journey of self-discovery and growth, we gain a deeper capacity for empathy and compassion for other individuals. 25. Find joy in simplicity. Imagine that you are in a tranquil garden where a single flower is growing in the center of the tranquility and calm, and the air is filled with the delicate aroma of the flower's blossoming flowers. This is a perfect example of the concept of finding joy in simplicity, which is a discipline that involves appreciating the small wonders that life has to offer and embracing moments of peaceful beauty. When we live in a culture that moves at a breakneck pace, it is easy to overlook the simple pleasures that are all around us on a daily basis. On the other hand, when we take a step back and pay attention, we come to the realization that the pursuit of material wealth or reputation is not the source of genuine happiness. Rather, the moments of tranquility, connection, and thanks are the ones that we may find ourselves enjoying. In order to find happiness in the simplest of things, it is essential to cultivate an attitude of contentment and gratitude, regardless of the circumstances in which we find ourselves. One of the most important aspects of this idea is the concept of finding beauty in the ordinary and embracing the imperfections that are a natural part of life with an open heart. There is a wide range of straightforward joys that have the capacity to provide nourishment to our souls and to invigorate our spirits. There are many instances of these pleasures, such as watching the dawn, sharing a meal with the people you care about, or taking a leisurely stroll through the natural environment. At the same time as they serve as a reminder of the abundance that is all around us, they instill a sense of gratitude in our hearts for the marvelous gift of life. 26. Let go of resentment. Just for a second, try to imagine that you are carrying a huge burden of hostility that causes you to feel as though you are stumbling. This is a perfect example of the essence of letting go of resentment, which is a strategy that entails letting go of the grip that anger has on one and forgiving, so allowing oneself to go on with a sense of lightness and freedom. When we experience feelings of anger, it is comparable to a poison that progressively destroys our mental peace and the amount of pleasure we take pleasure in. It becomes a breeding site for it, which in turn drives negative emotions and poisons our relationships. Our hearts become a breeding ground for it. Nevertheless, when we make the deliberate choice to let go of anger, we free ourselves from the destructive hold that it has on us, and we open the door to the road that leads to healing and inner peace. The act of letting go of resentment does not mean that you are endorsing harsh conduct or ignoring wrongs that have been committed in the past. It is about letting go of the hold that those negative emotions have on us and making the choice to forgive for our own sake, rather than for the sake of some other person or group of people. When it comes to self-love and compassion, forgiving previous mistakes is a significant act of love and compassion. Knowing that harboring resentment is only going to bring us harm in the long run is the heart of this talk. Recognizing our own humanity and knowing that this is the case is equally important. Through the act of forgiving others, we free ourselves from the burden of carrying around negative emotions and allow our hearts to become more receptive to intimate love and connection. This is due to the fact that we have the capacity to forgive ourselves. 27. Take responsibility. The predicament of a ship captain who is traveling through heavy waves while taking full responsibility for the vessel and its direction is something that should be taken into account. Realizing that we have the ability to shape our lives and accepting the consequences of the choices we make are both components of the conduct known as taking responsibility. This is a perfect illustration of the importance of accepting responsibility. When we take responsibility, we acknowledge that we are fully responsible for our decisions, actions, and the outcomes that emerge from those decisions, regardless of whether those outcomes are positive or negative. It is necessary to acknowledge that we have the capability to build our own reality, and that the choices we make have the potential to influence the circumstances in which we find ourselves. When we live in a society where it is so easy to lay blame on other people or on forces from the outside, it is challenging to accept responsibility for the challenges we face. A person must have the courage and honesty to accept responsibility. It is about refusing to accept the role of a victim and instead becoming an active participant in the process of constructing the life that we envision for ourselves. A process that takes place when we acknowledge that we are responsible for our own lives is the process of reclaiming our power and agency. We have made the decision to become active participants in our own growth and development, rather than being passive spectators who are subject to the whims of fate. When we acknowledge that we are responsible for our actions, we must also acknowledge that we have failed and learn from our mistakes, viewing them as opportunities for personal growth and professional achievement. Recognizing when we have failed and committing to making improvements in the future is the most crucial thing that we can do. 28. Be content with what you have. Imagine a traveler who is on a vacation, who is just carrying the items that they need, and who finds satisfaction in the uncomplicated nature of their surroundings. This traveler is a happy person. This highlights the essence of being content with what you have, which is the discipline of cultivating thankfulness for the present moment and taking pleasure in the advantages that life has to give, regardless of how insignificant they may seem. It takes a courageous act of disobedience to be able to be content with what you currently possess in a society that typically associates success with the acquisition of material possessions and money. The most important thing is to recognize that true pleasure is not something that is acquired from external locations or events. Rather, it is something that emerges from inside. To be content with what you have is not the same thing as settling for mediocrity or being complacent. Being content with what you have is not the same thing. Enjoying the abundance that is all around you and discovering happiness and joy in the here and now, regardless of the circumstances that you are now facing, is what it means to make the most of the present moment. The practice of thankfulness is the solution to the problem of overcoming an insatiable want for more. By cultivating an appreciation for the advantages that are already present in our lives, we are able to direct our attention away from the things that we do not possess and toward the things that we do own. As a result of this change, we have come to the understanding that our level of prosperity is far more than we could have ever dreamed. 29. Practice gratitude. Imagine a garden that is bursting with vibrant flowers, each petal acting as a bright symbol of the grandeur and richness that nature contributes to the world. This is a perfect illustration of the fundamental principle of thankfulness, which is the practice of recognizing and expressing gratitude for the blessings that are all around us, regardless of how little or very insignificant they may appear to be. The act of expressing thankfulness is a powerful remedy that may be used to combat feelings of negativity and misery. As a result of this, our focus is turned from the things that we do not possess to the things that we do possess. This, in turn, opens our hearts to the abundance that is all around us and brings joy into our lives. Through the cultivation of an attitude of gratitude, we are able to cultivate a mindset that is defined by appreciation and abundance. With the passage of time, we cultivate a heightened awareness of the basic joys and graces that embellish our lives on a daily basis, and we come to realize that even the most insignificant instances of beauty and grace provide us a great amount of pleasure. The defining characteristic of thankfulness is the ability to discover reasons to be appreciative even in the midst of adversity. It is not about denying the challenges and difficulties that we can face. Rather, it is about discovering the positive aspects of the situation and the reasons to be glad for each little thing. To be grateful is to recognize that even at the most trying periods of our life, there is always something for which we need to be thanks. This is the essence of gratitude. 30. Foster empathy. Imagine placing yourself in the shoes of another individual, seeing the world through their eyes and feeling their joy and sorrow as if they were coming from your own heart. This is what it would be like to be in their shoes. The process of cultivating empathy is a method that entails opening our hearts to the experiences of other people and extending compassion and understanding to those individuals. The development of empathy is exemplified by this particular example. We are able to connect with one another despite the fact that we come from various cultures, backgrounds, and experiences on account of the fact that we have empathy for one another. Recognizing our shared humanity and valuing the inherent dignity and value that each and every individual possesses are the primary ideas behind this philosophy. Empathy training is a revolutionary act of kindness and compassion in a culture that typically places a focus on individualism and self-interest. Empathy training is a revolutionary act of love and compassion. There are several key parts to this, including taking a step outside of ourselves and truly listening to other people, validating their experiences and feelings, and offering support and understanding to them. Through the cultivation of empathy, we are able to make a contribution to the growth of a sense of connection and belonging within the communities in which we live. The more we work together to build a society that is more compassionate and inviting to people of all backgrounds, the more we convert into agents of positive change. To have empathy means to be there with another person in their time of need, to provide them a sympathetic ear and a compassionate heart, and to be there with them while they go through their pain. It is not the purpose of empathy to solve the problems that other people are experiencing or to take on their obligations. It is about recognizing that we are all in this together, and that by supporting one another, we can construct a society in which everyone has the opportunity to have the feeling of being seen, acknowledged, and valued. 31. Cultivate inner peace. Imagine a calm lake, the surface of which is undisturbed by the storms that are raging all around it. This lake is safe from the storms. This depicts the concept of cultivating inner peace, which is a discipline of discovering quiet and tranquility inside oneself, despite the turmoil that may be occurring in our environment. This peace may be developed via the practice of creating inner peace. The capacity to keep one's core and one's grounding in spite of the ups and downs that life provides is what represents inner calm. Inner calm is not the absence of issues or difficulties. Rather, it is the ability to keep one's core and one's grounding. In this context, the concept of cultivating a sense of peace and stability that is independent of the circumstances that are occurring outside of oneself is being discussed. The cultivation of inner peace is a radical act of self-care and self-love that is vital for survival in a world that is filled with noise and chaos by nature. Creating a safe haven within ourselves, a place where we can go to escape the pressures and responsibilities of the outside world, and where we may recharge and revitalize ourselves, is the goal of this endeavor. We enhance our capacity to recover from adversity and adapt to new circumstances when we make an effort to cultivate inner calm inside ourselves. We learn to let go of the concerns and anxieties that drag us down as we practice mindfulness and present moment awareness. We also learn to accept each moment with joy as we go through these practices. Inner peace is not something that can be found outside of ourselves. Rather, it is something that we must create for ourselves. It is a condition of being that we must cultivate from inside ourselves. Not only are the effects immeasurable, but they also contain a feeling of contentment and tranquility that permeates every aspect of our lives. But in order to get through this procedure successfully, you will need to practice and have patience. 32. Practice mindfulness. Imagine there is a pond that is absolutely still and mirrors the world around it with flawless clarity. Can you imagine this? Being fully present and engaged in the here and now without judgment or distraction is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a discipline that entails being absolutely present. This is the core of what it means to incorporate mindfulness into one's daily life. Practicing mindfulness entails paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations with an open mind and a sense of curiosity, without making any attempt to change or exercise control over them. This is done without making any attempt to change or exert control over them. Accepting each moment as it occurs without reacting to it and appreciating it as it unfolds is the key to understanding this concept. One can find a refuge of peace and clarity via the practice of mindfulness in a world that is filled with distractions and is in a perpetual state of excitement and enthusiasm. The capacity to shift out of the autopilot mode of our thinking and into the richness of the present moment, which is where actual happiness and fulfillment may be discovered, is made possible by this thing for us to be able to do. Through the practice of mindfulness, we are able to cultivate a heightened awareness of the grandeur and majesty that are happening all around us. This is something that we are able to access and experience. With the understanding that each and every moment is irreplaceable and fleeting, we make it a point to take in each and every experience with a sense of awe and gratitude for the moment. The practice of mindfulness is not about achieving a state of happiness or eliminating all sorrow. Rather, it is about accepting life in all of its complexity and flaws with an attitude of openness and compassion without passing judgment on anything. On the other hand, rather than reacting from a place of fear or judgment, it is about learning how to respond to the challenges that life throws at you with grace and resilience. 33. Cherish relationships. Image a tapestry that is fashioned from the strands of love and connection. with each individual thread contributing to the overall majesty and depth of the tapestry. This is the kind of tapestry that you should imagine. Embracing connections is a discipline that entails recognizing and fostering the linkages that connect us to other people. This is the basis of cherishing connections, which is expressed in this way. Our connections are the threads that link our life together, bringing together times of joy and laughter, as well as experiences that we share in common with one another. The wellspring of love and belonging that nourishes our souls, they are the source of comfort and support in times of need, and they are the source of support itself. They are the source of support. The practice of cherishing connections serves as a reminder of what is genuinely essential in life, which is particularly useful in a culture that usually places a premium on the achievements and triumphs of people. A large amount of time and effort is required in order to establish and maintain meaningful connections with one's family, friends, and community. This is because such relationships need a significant expenditure of both. When we place a high value on our relationships, we are able to cultivate a network of love and support that enables us to persist through the challenges that life throws at us and to take pride in the accomplishments that we have accomplished. As we mature, our ability for empathy and compassion expands, and we become more conscious of the ways in which we are mirrored in the faces of other people. There are times when it is difficult to appreciate relationships, and in order to do so, it is necessary for all parties involved to have tolerance, understanding, and forgiveness for one another. On the other side, the advantages are limitless. A sense of belonging and connection that infuses our lives with a sense of meaning and purpose that we cannot even begin to quantify. Imagine that there is a flock of birds soaring through the air, and that their flight is fleeting and ephemeral, yet it is also filled with grace and beauty. This is a perfect example of the fundamental principle of embracing impermanence, which is a practice that entails coming to terms with the fact that everything in life is ephemeral and finding liberation through the process of letting go of attachments. This serves as a timely reminder that the only thing that is constant in life is change, and that the most fundamental aspect of existence is that everything is contingent upon the passage of time. We are encouraged to accept the transitory aspect of events, relationships, and moments, and to embrace the truth that nothing is permanent when we are aware of the fact that nothing is permanent. A significant gesture of surrender and acceptance, the act of embracing impermanence is a great act of acceptance in a culture that typically desires stability and permanence. The two most critical components of this process are learning to flow with the ever-changing currents of life and letting go of the delusion that you are in control of the situation. When we completely accept that everything is temporary, we are able to free ourselves from the grip that attachment and desire have on us. We learn to cherish each moment as it happens, with the knowledge that it is one of a kind and irreplaceable, and to let go of it with gratitude when it is no longer there. This is a skill that we develop over time. However, accepting life in its whole, with all of its joys and sorrows, and finding beauty in the fleeting element of existence, is what it means to embrace impermanence. This does not mean that one should reject the misery of loss or change. 34. Embrace impermanence. Consider the case of a great tree that, despite being in the midst of a violent storm, is able to keep its upright stance because its roots are firmly rooted in the earth. This demonstrates the essence of practicing resilience, which is the skill of weathering the storms of life with courage and grace, emerging from adversity stronger and more resilient than you were before. This is the essence of practicing resilience. The ability to bounce back quickly from setbacks and challenges, as well as the ability to adapt and grow in spite of the presence of adversity, are all examples of what we mean when we talk about resilience. For us to be successful in overcoming obstacles and thriving in the face of uncertainty, it is essential that we tap into the power of our own inner tenacity and imagination. The development of resilience is a crucial talent that helps us to confront the challenges that life throws at us with bravery and self-assurance. This is especially true for those of us who live in a world that is filled with unpredictability and instability. It is essential to perceive change and uncertainty as opportunities for personal growth and life transformation, rather than as obstacles that ought to be avoided. This is because change and uncertainty are both opportunities for change. Through the process of engaging in the practice of resilience, we cultivate a mentality that is both positive and full of tenacity. Rather than viewing barriers as insurmountable impediments, we have the power to regard them as temporary setbacks, and we have the potential to embrace the challenges that life provides with a sense of wonder and determination. In addition, the practice of resilience includes not only the act of requesting assistance from other individuals, but also the act of depending on our own internal resources in order to deal with stress and difficulties. In order to recover from adversity in a stronger and more resilient manner than we were before, it is important to cultivate resilience muscles via self-care, mindfulness, and positive coping skills. 35. Practice resilience. Imagine that you are an artist who is meticulously making a masterpiece, putting their entire essence into each and every stroke of the brush. Put yourself in their position. The essence of seeking excellence, which refers to the practice of setting high standards for oneself, is the process of setting high expectations for ourselves and continually aiming to surpass them, so unlocking our greatest potential along the way. This is the essence of the pursuit of excellence. When it comes to achieving greatness, there is no such thing as perfectionism or comparison with other people. Rather, attaining greatness is about the continuous pursuit of personal progress and mastery. If we want to achieve greatness, we need to cultivate a mindset that is centered on continuous improvement and force ourselves to go beyond the confines of our comfort zones. When we strive for excellence, we are committing ourselves to quality in every facet of our lives. This is of utmost significance in a world that usually accepts mediocrity as the standard. Being proud of the work that we do and actively seeking out opportunities to stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zones and take on new tasks are both important aspects of this philosophy. 36. Pursue excellence. We are able to access our innate skills and capacities when we take on the challenge of striving for greatness, which in turn helps us to reach new levels of creativity and inventiveness. When we become learners for life, we become insatiably hungry for learning and eager to enhance our knowledge. We also encourage others to become learners for life by providing an example for them to follow. In addition, one of the most important aspects of the quest of greatness is the realization that failure is a necessary stepping stone on the path to accomplishment. It is about gathering lessons from failures and using them as opportunities for personal development and advancement, rather than allowing them to discourage us from pursuing our goals. This is the key to success. 37. Cultivate compassion. Consider the possibility that a gentle rain shower is nourishing the earth and supplying every living thing with the vitality and life that it needs in order to continue existing. The essence of developing compassion is the practice of showering others with kindness and empathy, which serves to create connection and understanding in our common human experience. This is the essence of increasing compassion. This is a perfect illustration of the core of cultivating compassion. When we talk about compassion, we are referring to the warm embrace that transcends boundaries of nationality, religion, and ethnicity among individual people. It is about acknowledging our shared humanity and discovering that we are reflected in the faces of other people, despite the fact that we are all so fundamentally distinct from one another. Compassion is a courageous act of love and solidarity in a society that is typically defined by division and conflict with one another. The growth of compassion is an act of love and solidarity as well. The purpose of this is to provide assistance to people who are in need, to offer a listening ear to those who are going through a difficult time, and to advocate for justice and equality for all individuals. When we cultivate compassion that is felt all around the world, we set off a chain reaction of acts of kindness and goodwill that have an impact on the lives of everyone we come into touch with. We become guiding lights that shed light on the path that leads to a world that is more loving and linked in a world that can at times feel dark and confused. This is because we live in a world that can get dark and unclear. It is not always easy to grow compassion, and in order to do so, we need to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones and embrace the discomfort that comes with being vulnerable. This is necessary in order to cultivate compassion. The advantages, on the other hand, are boundless. They include a sense of fulfillment and a sense of purpose that emerges from the knowledge that we are making a contribution to the betterment of the world's conditions. 38. Seek wisdom. Imagine a person who is seeking for something and is ready to embark on a journey through the vast expanse of knowledge, where each step takes them closer to the truth. This person is about to embark on a journey. The essence of seeking wisdom is exemplified by the practice of having a thirst for knowledge and insight, as well as continuously expanding our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This is the essence of seeking wisdom, which is exemplified by the practice. The path of acquiring knowledge is one that continues throughout one's whole life and is not constrained by the limitations of time or spatial location. Delving into the complexities of the human experience, relying on the information that has been acquired over the course of history, and exploring new frontiers of discoveries and knowledge are all aspects of this endeavor. When we live in a world that is characterized by an excess of knowledge and superficiality, the pursuit of wisdom serves as a beacon that directs us to more deep truths and meaning. Whenever we are attempting to acquire a more comprehensive understanding of any subject, it is essential to question preconceived notions, to dispute conventional wisdom, and to instead embrace complexity and nuance. One of the benefits of pursuing wisdom is that it helps us build a stronger capacity for discernment and critical thinking, which in turn enables us to navigate the complexities of life with insight and clarity. We recognize that the first step toward acquiring true wisdom is to accept the extent to which we are ignorant, and we make it a point to cultivate a sense of humility in the face of the abundance of information that exists. The process of acquiring knowledge involves a number of crucial factors, including the cultivation of self-awareness and the practice of introspection. This is due to the fact that we are making an effort to grasp our own limitations, biases, and motivating factors. The process of combining one's knowledge with one's own inner wisdom and making use of this information in order to live one's life with a more authentic and purposeful sense of purpose. 39. Embrace change. Imagine a river that is flowing through the countryside in a steady stream, carving its way across the scenery and smoothly embracing every curve and bend. This river makes its way across the countryside. A good attitude toward change is exemplified by this, which is the discipline of moving with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. This is the basis of having a positive attitude about change. One thing in life is certain, and that is change. There is no other thing that can be guaranteed. The force of change is what shapes our experiences and propels us forward on the road that we have chosen. In spite of the fact that it has the potential to be upsetting and challenging, it also presents an opportunity for personal growth and transformation. A significant amount of fortitude and tenacity is required in order to be able to accept change in a culture that typically clings to comfort and routine. Both letting go of attachments to the past and accepting the unknown with an open heart and mind are key components of this process. Both of these components are described here. Change is something that we have to be willing to accept in order to allow place for new opportunities and possibilities to come our way. As a result of being confronted with unpredictability, we cultivate more adaptability and flexibility, and we learn the capacity to navigate the changes that take place in our lives with grace and ease. Accepting change requires a number of different components, one of which is having trust in the natural cycles of life and recognizing that every conclusion represents the beginning of something new. Allowing ourselves to evolve and develop in tandem with the cycles of growth and renewal, as well as accepting those cycles as they occur, is the essence of this concept. 40. Live with purpose. Imagine there is a lighthouse that is visible from a distance, standing tall in the midst of tumultuous waters, and its beacon is guiding ships to the land in a secure manner. As an illustration of the essence of living with purpose, which is a strategy that entails blazing the road of your life with clarity and direction, inspired by ideas that resonate deep within your spirit. Here is an example of what it means to live with purpose. Living with purpose is not just devoting oneself to a life of service and giving, but also finding meaning and fulfillment in each and every moment of one's life. This is the essence of living with purpose. If you want to bring about positive change in the world, it is essential to align your actions with the values that you hold and to make use of the abilities and characteristics that you have in particular. Being a person who lives with a purpose is a courageous act of selflessness and compassion in a world that typically places a higher emphasis on personal happiness and accomplishment. Being selfless and compassionate is a daring act. It is about coming to grips with the truth that genuine fulfillment does not come from the things that we acquire for ourselves, but rather from the things that we give back to other people and the world. This is the essence of the concept. In the process of living our lives with a sense of purpose, we change into guiding lights and sources of motivation for others who are in our immediate vicinity. We shed light on the darkness and guide them in the direction of a more hopeful future. Through the act of performing acts of service, not only can we find a sense of fulfillment that is not reliant on our material wealth or position, but we also find importance and pleasure in the act of doing so. In addition, one of the components of living a life with purpose is the cultivation of a feeling of appreciation for the gift of life and the opportunity to make a positive impact in the world. As part of the process, it is necessary to acknowledge that each and every moment is a valuable gift, and to make the most of it in order to live with aim and integrity.